Hi guys, welcome back. Thanks very much for tuning in last night to the first COAP online aviation pub quiz. It was great fun. I really enjoyed it. It was amazing to see all those different people from all over the world tuning in and just switching off from a bit of the COVID craziness and enjoying a bit of AvGeek grey matter getting going. It's good stuff. So I'm going to run through the questions, be pretty fast and furious, just giving you a brief synopsis of the question and the answer, and of course the bonus point answers as well. So here we go. So get my glasses on because obviously pretty getting on a bit now. So round one. Here we go. Ready to roll. Which year did the Air to 2 first start? That was of course 1971. What was the full name of the parent charity of RIAT? That is the RAFCTE. If you guys put the Benevolent Fund, which is the previous one before that, changed fairly recently to the RAFCTE, which is the Charitable Trust Enterprises. The year of the other RIAT cancellation, that was of course 2008. If anyone remembers the terrible weather leading up to that. The B-2s had just left Fairford before COVID-19 struck. The bomb wing to which they're attached is the 509th bomb wing. Name 5 other Northrop designs. This was question 5. And there are over 30 that you could have chosen from. So hope you managed to get 5 out of that. The top ones they produced, the most number, were the F5, the T-38, the Scorpion, and the Black Widow, which are pretty cool names if you ask me. One of the most successful of those designs was of course the F5, and you asked you to name 6 operators. Again, a massive amount of operators there, so I hope you managed to get to around 6. Be pretty cool. You could have had any of these. So US, Brazil, Canada, Ethiopia, Greece, Iran, Kenya, Malaysia, Mexico, Morocco, Netherlands, Norway, Philippines, South Korea, Saudi, Singapore, Switzerland, Taiwan, Tunisia, Vietnam, and Venezuela. The independent F5 was Iran, and the design bureau that's in charge of that upgrade was HESA, and they gave it the name of SAEQ, I think you pronounce it. I'm probably wrong there, but something along those lines, and it's SAEQH, SAEQ 2. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, so bear with me. The Boeing first flight, I showed you the couple of stills from the F-15 first flight there, and it was the F-15 QA, and the QA was what I was after on that. That's obviously standing for Kuwaiti Air Force. Sorry, Qatar Emiri Air Force. Apologies. A new operator for that particular type. We then continued with the Boeing theme with the 737 MAX. The 2 accidents unfortunately happened to Lion Air and Ethiopian Airlines. And then I asked you to name 6 other aviation trade events. Again, there's a huge array of those events. My personal favourites being, of course, Farnborough, not biased at all. Paris, FIDE in Chile, Max Tsunami in Russia, Lima in Malaysia, Kadax in Kazakhstan, Dubai and Singapore, some of the most popular ones there. What does the acronym EAA stand for? The purveyors of Oshkosh. That's Experimental Aircraft Association. Okay, continuing on with my magic list. In the USA, civil aircraft are registered as N registered. What is this prefix for China? That's B. And the prefix for Italy, which is the next question, question 13, the prefix for Italy was I, and the correct spelling of the national carrier is Alitalia, not Air Italia, but Alitalia, A-L-I-T-A-L-I-A, Alitalia. Which base of the Italian Air Force Tornadoes base? That was Gedi, G-H-E-D-I. I then asked you to name the last 2 RAF squadrons that said goodbye to the GR4 around a year ago. That was, of course, 9 and 31 squadrons. Now, the designation I was looking for was the Roman numeral designation for 9 squadron, 9 being obviously 1X, with the brackets B afterwards as well, so 9 and 31 squadrons, the Bats and the Gold Stars. The name of the GR4's power plant, that of course being the RB199 from Rolls-Royce, the Turbo Union. To which exercise the RAF flew F-35, so it was Red Flag at Nellis. And the number plate designation of the host fighter wing at Nellis, question 18, was the 57th Fighter Wing. Nellis was home to those the last US Air Force F-4s, the squadron there being the 561st, and the model they had was the F-4G, the Wild Weasel. I asked you a true or false question next, which was if Japan had just retired the RF-4EJ Kai, and whether that was true or false. A bit of a trick question though. The answers are actually false, because there's no such thing as an RF-4EJ Kai. There's RF-4EJs and there's RF-4Es, but there was no Kai modification on those specific jets. So true AvGeek question there for you. What's the number plate for the last F4 squadron over there? That is, of course, 301 Hikatai. I then asked you what's the significance of the number of stars on the frog's scarf around his neck on the squadron unit, and that designates the seventh wing of the Jastev. Then he's got 7 stars on his scarf. The unit designation of the RAF's new P-8, the Poseidon. I asked you to name one of the jets and the actual designation, and they are the. Hold on a second. I should know that anyway. It's 120 Squadron, which is CXX. But I can't remember the names. Here we go. The Pride of Moray and City of Elgin, and it's the Poseidon MRA-1. Which European airline released a new livery in the last fortnight? That was SAS, Scandinavia. And the first airline to cut its staff. Now, this was a bit tricky because obviously there was Flybe that we lost, unfortunately, due to obviously the economic situation and everything else. But the question was, what was the first airline to announce specifically that it was cutting its staff as a result of COVID? And that was Finnair. Which airline owner has been slated for not helping the airline staff? And that was Richard Branson, Virgin. Which airline will retire its last 747s early within the next week? The passenger version, of course, that being KLM. And then I asked you to name the 4 types of the BA 747 livery. There's the 3 retros of BOAC and Landor and Negus, Negus, against the current scheme, which is the Chatham Dockyard. One of the most flamboyant schemes is obviously the NATO Tiger Meet, and I asked you to name the base at which the Arctic Tiger Meet first took place. That was Aaaaand in 2007. Also took place there in 2012 and 2013. And if we do get to see the Tiger Meet this year, then it should be in Portugal. And I asked you which aircraft type the Portuguese Air Force got rid of in early 2018 and from which base, and that was the Alpha Jet from Beja Air Base. So we moved on to round 2, the Aviation Legends, the historic round. The name of the guy that first flew manned flight in the UK was Samuel F. Cody. He was a colonel. Now, I'll defer to my father on this because I think it was probably a self-pronounced title. I don't believe it was a military one, but certainly he was quite an eccentric chap. And he was Colonel Samuel F. Cody was the correct answer to that question. The Reds were formed, the Red Arrows, March 1965, and I wouldn't have got this, but their first display was Little Rissington. Question 3, the YF-16 first flew in January 1974. What was particularly unique about that is they didn't mean to fly it that day. It was an accident. It took off during a high-speed taxi along the runway and got airborne. So that was the bonus point on that one. The code name given by the Allies to the Normandy landings was Overlord. Massive celebration last year, so you should have got that one. Question 5, the F-104 absolute height record was 91,249 feet. Incredible stuff. The Tu-95 was the silver beast that made history when it landed at Riet in 1993. And question 7, the first passenger service was between St. Petersburg and Tampa in Florida. The airlines I listed in question 8 were in order. Number 1 was Continental. Number 2 was Icelandair. Number 3 was Malaysian. Number 4 was Nigerian. And there was a couple of older logos, older versions of the logos in there as well, just to give you a little bit more tricky. And I think we'll probably do a few more of those as well. Maybe some military insignia as well, because that's always good fun. Number 9 was where was Pan Am formed. That was Key West. Must have been amazing to see all that down there at that time. Key West is good enough at the best of times. Number 10, the second jet passenger airliner to fly was the Tupolev Tu-104, big America v Russia race back then. Okay, round 3, which is the wildcard round, this week being Top Gun. The legendary aviation photographer that was involved in taking the stills for the 1986 Top Gun film was George Hall. Thoroughly recommend you checking out some of his work. There's a few guys that didn't get that, and really recommend doing a bit of research into that photographer's work. He's no longer with us, unfortunately. He died fairly recently, a few years back. But his work still lives on. I believe his wife still runs the library. It's called Check 6. And any of his books and any of his previous work is legendary. As I said at the time last night, there's a lot of guys that you know and love taking photographs now got their early influences from him. So well worth looking at. Number 2, of course, Take My Breath Away was sung by Berlin, and the album sales reached 9 million. The real life Top Gun as it is now. A few guys got this wrong because it recently changed acronym. As we know, the Americans love their acronyms. So it's now NAWDC, NAWDC, which is the Naval Aviation Warfighting Development Centre. So tough one to get right on that one. Number 4, complete the quote, was Slider, you stink. Number 5, the real life character was Kelly McGinnis's character of Charlie. She was based on Christine Fox, who worked with the Centre of Naval Analysis, which was actually across the street from the original Top Gun at Miramar. So very interesting stuff there. And question 6, the answer to that was, complete the quote, was watch the mountains, Mav. Great quote, as they all are. Can't wait to see the new quotes that come out, the new one. Please let it be good. Question number 7. It was originally at Naval Air Station Miramar and then moved to Naval Air Station Fallon. The bonus point being that it was in 1996 that took place. The other complete the quote was you'll be flying rubber dog shit out of Hong Kong. Should have got that one right. Very famous one. Number 9. The Top Gun bar does still exist and it is to be found in San Diego. It's currently a barbecue restaurant. Cannot wait for that one. And 10, the 2 helmets. One was Iceman, the other one was Slider. A was Iceman, B was Slider. The total film running time was 1 hour and 50 minutes. And finally, to wrap it all up, the name of the report upon which the whole of Top Gun is based on was the AULT report, AULT. So I hope you really enjoyed that. It was great fun. I was pretty nervous about doing it to start with, but man, the figures were incredible. I think there was like 5,000 people engaged as of about an hour ago. With it all, and I think the reach was around 15,000 people across the world. All those amazing sights of seeing all those guys checking in from all over the world. So thanks for being part of it. It's really good stuff. We look to doing the next one next week. Might do some shorter ones, some like little 10 minuters or just 10 questions, really quick fire rounds. Different subjects all the time as well. So keep checking back, and the next one will be next week. Can't wait.